So the Assault class in Space Marine 2 is constantly on the receiving end of criticism and often the object of discussion when talking about buffs in the game. So most class tier lists out there, they place Assault at the rock bottom of the list and well behind the alternatives. And as I was leveling Assault, I really expected to land in the same spot as everyone else. But as I started unlocking the perks on the bottom row on my final stretch to level 25, it became apparent that I had been focusing on the wrong thing with Assault. And for today, I do want to talk about why I think most people misunderstand this class. I'm not going to make any hot takes about it being secretly S tier, because frankly it isn't, but it is viable, it is extremely fun, and I've learned a thing or two in my time with this game, and let me tell you, I'm literally sitting at 101 hours invested in the game. So I'm feeling pretty well versed in it at this point. Luckily, I was granted a review code for the game well over a week before early access went live, so I've spent almost a month now with the game at this point. And all this to say, the thoughts that I offer on Assault in the video today are based on a lot of time spent with the game, time maxing out multiple characters and classes, time observing Assault class, and ultimately then playing with the Assault class all the way to max level. So let's dive into it. And before I do, just a quick heads up, at the end of the video there's going to be a brief little announcement about ways that we can kind of game together. If you're looking for people to game with, I know getting teammates in this game can be a bit of a challenge, and it is for me too, and I'd like to be able to have a community where we have access to each other, we can use each other's LFG of sorts, and just kind of get gaming together if we want to. So we'll get to that later. Anyways, so here's the thing with Assault class. This right here is what most people think the Assault class is all about. But the truth is that the Assault class is actually more about this. It is my belief that the Assault class can ultimately be boiled down to three key variables. There's dodge, gun strikes, and 360-degree melee combat. So let me unpack those one at a time. Let's start with the dodge. One thing that commonly gets overlooked is that the Assault class at base, at level 1, has a passive 50% buff to its perfect dodge window. That's big. That means it's a heck of a lot easier to get a perfect dodge on an Assault character than any other character. And it is my strong recommendation that unless you know it's an easy parry, that you instead start trying to perfect dodge most attacks, whether they're blue or orange. Your window is bigger than your parry window, and you may very well know where I'm going with this, but a perfect dodge grants you a gun strike. Gun strikes do big critical damage to enemies, and they're an especially effective way to take down majors, extremes, and bosses. So if you're leveling up the Assault class, I think it's very important that you start early on. You start thinking about heavily incorporating perfect dodges and gun strikes into your playstyle. And that can come after you do a jetpack ground slam. You do the ground slam, then you go into a dodge, start surveying your options. But the reason it's important to start queuing up these gun strikes is because the class is going to really lean into these gun strikes later down the perk tree. You see, on the bottom row, you'll eventually unlock the perk Proven Efficiency in the team slot. This makes it so that all players on the team now do 50% more gun strike damage. This is huge. This is no small buff like, the 10 to 15% buffs you often see in the game. This is a 50% increase to an already powerful attack that does critical damage. But you also have in the first row the perk Armor Reinforcement. Non-finisher gun strikes also restore armor. Now we are cooking. So we have a much larger perfect dodge window. Those perfect dodges queue up gun strikes. Our gun strikes now do significantly more damage, and against majors and bosses, you're going to get free armor just for hitting a gun strike attack. What this means specifically with majors, as you can see right here in the gameplay, is that you can dodge gun strike execution, and get 2 full armor charges back to back for doing it. That's wild. Now, anytime I see a major, I see 2 armor bars, and I'm like, yeah, I need that right now. That's pretty wild. Now let's take it into an environment like a massive enemy wave, and you're surrounded by majors. This is where the class really comes alive. we're basically going to be queuing up multiple back-to-back-to-back gun strikes to eliminate the entire mob. And you don't have to finish them off right away. If you have full armor, wait till you take a hit, then spin and execute a guy that you already primed up, get that armor charge right back. Or you can take this up against the Hive Tyrant fight, and holy cow, does this fight get so much more fun when you're constantly in his face and restoring your health while absolutely chunking away at his. Crazy fun. The third thing I mentioned at the beginning of the video is 360-degree melee combat. When you use your jetpack ground pound attack, you're likely going to be aiming for center mass in the horde, and that's great. That's going to net you the most kills when you land, and therefore helping cool down your jetpack's next use much faster. But here's the thing, then you find yourself in the middle of the horde, obviously. So you need to be able to hit targets on all sides of you. I tried Hammer, and I didn't care for its long animations. I was taking too much damage while trying to swing the thing, and longer swings means more missed opportunities to win back contested health. I tried the Power Fist. Man, I really wanted to love the Power Fist. I wanted to end up maining it. I took it all the way up to the purple tier, mastered those, but it just can't hang with the Chainsword when it comes to being an all-purpose weapon. With the Chainsword, I can hit multiple enemies in a single swing, just like the Hammer, but it's faster, and I can keep turning my camera to hit enemies all around me at any angle. The Hammer just can't do that without taking a much longer time. And I like the Hammer a lot. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great melee weapon, but I just found that for doing 360-degree melee combat, the Chainsword was the best option for jumping from foe to foe. Crowd control is admittedly quite fun on Assault. You know, I've got my jetpack doing damage all around me when I take off, so I can launch into the air while I'm in the middle of a mob, do big damage to the little guys around me when I lift off, and obviously there's Zealous Blow, unlocked at level 23, that gives you 10% of your charge refunded for every enemy you kill with the ground slam. That's obviously huge. So I end up using the jetpack for mostly general ad clear and for crowd control, and the 360-degree melee combat is there to support that. But then when it comes to majors and bosses, the perfect dodges and the gun strikes are really going to elevate your game with the Assault. It's going to take it from D tier probably all the way up to B+ tier. It's not godly, it's not breaking any metas right now, but when you learn to lean into what makes Assault truly special, then you'll get a heck of a lot more mileage out of the class. But a quick heads up, the class is a whole lot better at taking down Tyranid enemies than it is at taking down Chaos enemies. So you've been warned. That's one of the real Achilles heels of the class. Tyranids, no problem. Chaos enemies are going to be much more of a challenge because queuing up gun strikes really does rely on dodging melee attacks primarily. And the Chaos enemies are going to be doing a whole lot of ranged damage against you, so it's going to kind of limit how many of those perfect dodge gun strikes you can incorporate into your combat. So thanks so much for watching the video today. If you enjoyed it, would you let me know by leaving a like on the video? Is this the best free way to support the content here on YouTube? And consider subscribing for additional Space Marine 2 content. A quick, short announcement. I've been having a ton of fun playing and covering this game, and I wanted to expand my coverage to a new layer. So I've just added a new Patreon tier to my existing Patreon that's dirt cheap. It's just $3. It's cheaper than a Twitch sub. This will give you access to a private Discord just for Space Marine 2, where we can chat about the game together. We can LFG. You know, sometimes it's hard getting decent teammates, even courteous teammates. And I even would love to have more folks to pull into operations with me when I'm recording footage or farming for higher tier materials. So one perk to the new $3 tier is access to that Discord, but another perk will be that I'll upload full operations with live commentary directly to Patreon for you to view and enjoy as well. So some exclusive content for you guys and access to an online community where we can game and farm together. If that sounds good to you, I'll put a link in the pinned comment and in the description for you to check it out. But a heads up, Patreon only allows you to have one page. So I tried making a second page specifically for this, and it got immediately deactivated because I already have a Patreon page for something else. So when you follow the link, it will take you to a Patreon page for my whiskey community, which is also awesome, but just make sure that you join the $3 tier and not the other tiers unless you really want to support the whiskey content or something. But that $3 tier is for the gaming stuff specifically, and we'll have a link to the Discord for you guys. So don't get confused if you follow it and you're like, why am I looking at alcohol? And that would be why. Sound good? All right, looking forward to gaming together, meeting some of you guys, getting to know some of you. That will be cool. All right, be warm and well fed, my friends. Courage and honor, brothers.